Dear Stephen King, I, like millions of constant readers, am thrilled that today is not the 25th anniversary of your death, merely the 25th anniversary of a life-changing accident. But more than anything, I'm so grateful you're still here. And so, it seems, is the rest of the constant reader community. And in this video, this is a celebration from us to you of everything we love about you and your work. So let's go. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Dave Musson, at Dave Musson on Instagram, and this is a place where I talk to you about all things Stephen King. Now, as you may have guessed from the introduction, this is a special, and it is kind of directly aimed at the man himself, although I'm very realistic and realise he probably won't be watching, so I'm not going to forget all of you guys as well. This special is dropping on the 19th of June 2024, which is 25 years since Stephen King was hit by a minivan while out walking in Maine and almost killed. But as I said in the intro, he didn't die, so we're not here mourning 25 years of no Stephen King in the world. We're celebrating 25 extra years that we've got. And what better way to do that than a big public show of affection of everything we love about Stephen King. And that's what this video is. A while ago, here on my YouTube channel and on my Instagram page, I asked you guys for the things that you love about Stephen King. Specific things, not just book titles. And this video, I'm just going to go through them and I'm going to share my thoughts as well. I was going to offer in some things that I love, but frankly, if I'm at this point nearly 4 years into a channel documenting everything about Stephen King, I think it's pretty clear I'm a big fan of just about everything he does. So I wanted to give the voice of this video to you guys, my wonderful community, and let you celebrate Stephen King with me on this day that must be a weird one for him, but ultimately is a positive one because he's still here, he's still with us, and he's still releasing new books. So that's about it really. I'm going to jump into my comments from Instagram first and then from my comments from here on YouTube. And I guess that's it. We're just going to have a celebration of everything that we love about Stephen King. And Mr. King, if you are watching, kick back, enjoy this. I'm sure you've heard loads of these a million times before, but hopefully it's nice to have it all in one place. And if you ever want to come on this channel and have a chat with me about them, well, my door is obviously always open. Please come on, let's get into it, shall we? Yeah, sure, there's links to my Stephen King quiz book and newsletter and stuff in the description. Subscribe, yada yada yada. Let's get on with it. Here is everything, or here is a selection of things that you guys love about the one and only Stephen King. So let's get into this. I'm going to start with the comments on my Instagram page. So I posted about this a while ago and asked for favourite things. I made the same request on YouTube. So I'm just going to go through in the order that they're showing on my screen. So Book Kim 2021 says his versatility. He writes such different kinds of stories. I had no idea The Green Mile was Stephen King when I first watched the film. And I'm not full into horror books, but Stephen King is my favourite horror writer. I'd agree with that completely. A great horror writer, but also not just horror. We discussed that a lot on this channel, so thank you for that. Nicole Reeves King says, the thing I love about King is that after his accident he still carried on with his career. It would have been really easy to stop writing. Lots of people in the same position would have hung up their boots, but King didn't. He didn't need to carry on for financial reasons, but he did carry on. I'm so glad he was able to keep going and write nearly 25 more years worth of fantastic books and novels. His determination to overcome adversity is what I love about King. Couldn't have put it better myself. Absolutely he could have stopped after that accident, but look at what we've got in the 25 years since. Some world-beating books. Kelly Brocklehurst says, his ability to create characters that I love so deeply. Good. I love him for his politics too. Good. Not everyone does, but I do and Kelly does. Also, he gave us shit weasels. Yes, he did. The Bookish Bee says, I love the multiverse. It's so exciting when I'm reading a book and there's a tie-in to another book. Whether it's a location, an incident, or the unexpected arrival of the character. My favourite was when Jake Epping meets Bev and Richie. It was such an unexpected joy, I burst into tears. And that one, of course, is in 11/22/63. You can check out my 19 reasons to read that. And again, yeah, King is the master of the multiverse, long before Marvel started doing it to death. And of course I did explore the King multiverse in my special Every King Everywhere All at Once, so do check that one out if you fancy it. Losey Posey says, the threads you can pull between different stories using characters, places and ideas is probably my favourite thing about King's work. There we go, multiverse again. People love the multiverse. It is such a joy. It's like the Leo DiCaprio meme in real life where he's pointing at the screen. When you're reading through and you see something tied to another book, it's like boop, 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 boop. Love it. King Book Collector says, it's hard to pin down one thing. The photo on the rear cover of Christine, that's one where he's hanging out with the car Christine, yeah. Geordie Verrill, having his son stick pins into a voodoo doll in Creepshow. Short stories, far from short story masterpiece It. Johnny Smith, my favourite character ever, good choice. Genre versatility, I could go on, but I think Tabitha digging the Carrie draft out of the bin and believing in him and his story is my favourite one thing. So many good suggestions there. But yeah, taking it right back to the start. So Tabitha, if you're watching as well, thank you too. Marcus Hawke, excellent author by the way, says this quote. This is his favourite thing. This quote from King. I have the heart of a small boy. I keep it on my desk in a jar. And he says a line he cribbed from Robert Bloch, but still, yeah, it's a great line. Cy Swampy says, there's so much to love about him and his writing, but my choice today has to be the Dollar Baby program. So that's where King would grant permission to upcoming filmmakers to adapt his films for just $1. The more I read about it, the more I think what a generous man this is, sharing his good fortune with so many up and coming artists. What a guy. Yep, spot on. So Danielle N. Gomez says, as a kid, Lardass and the Blueberry Pie scene was the greatest thing I ever saw on TV. And Stand By Me has remained my favourite movie since I was like 5 or 6. Not just because of that scene, winky face. Once I got older and started reading King, he became one of my favourite authors. I could go on, but as far as moments go, that's a favourite. Yeah, the Blueberry Pie. That's certainly a moment. Yeah, and iconic as well. Bent Winged Snitches says, I love that when he gives readings or talks, he always seems to sprinkle in some version of reminding the attendees to check the back seats as they get into their cars when they go home. Yeah, great. He didn't do that at the talk I attended, but that was because he was attending remotely. But yeah, I do love that as well. Just trying to keep it spooky at all times. So we've got PB and ITP. As a Mainer, I would say it was his down-to-earth lifestyle. Money didn't really seem to change him. He ate at the local diners, went shopping at the Bangor Mall, enjoyed walking around the backcountry roads. Well, maybe that wasn't such a good thing. Yeah. He met Tabitha at University of Maine and they've been together for over 50 years, plus they raised wonderful children. Point is, he never let it go to his head. He had problems just like the rest of us and he worked hard to fix it. Whether you like his politics or his books or you don't, you have to admit that he is a decent human. I mean, to have somebody you've never met think that about you, that must make you feel pretty warm inside, right? Nicole Holder-Otterin says, Lisi's tornado face and many of his female characters with their flaws, imperfections and their strength when they face evil. Love it. Devil horns emoji. Cool. Books on the Blanket says, I love his messages to the constant reader. Yes, his introductions, his afterwards, they're all excellent. Reading with Lorna says, I love all the Easter eggs in his novels. I love the relationships in his books, mostly the Losers Club. I could go on and on. So could I. But yeah, the Easter eggs, it's the multiverse thing again, coming up time and time again. And then lastly on my Instagram, we've got Lauren Leando Libros says, his quiet generosity, giving so much to his community without the expectation of recognition or publicity. I just tried to check where it was he created a prison library and can't even find it. Yeah, I didn't even know he created a prison library. Just, yeah, the generosity of the man, of you, Mr. King, if you're watching, it's not unnoticed and it is very much appreciated. So, those are the things that my Instagram followers love about Stephen King. Let's flip it over to the YouTube followers, shall we? Right, we're covering the comments on the short I posted about this, requesting the things that you love about Stephen King. So I'll just go in order as they come, and these are reading out the usernames. I'll try and tag these in the description just so everybody knows that they're there. So we've got Greek Boy Alex says, I love how his books are connected and get mentioned about each other, like how King mentions Cujo in Needful Things. It makes his universe incredibly immersive and make almost every book important. Yeah, as you can see, the multiverse is definitely a big pull for us constant readers. Porgy Not Porgs says, I love that Stephen can write a single chapter about a character, kill them off immediately, but still make me care about them. Yeah, exactly. We can get into a character's head, we can get their life, we can completely fall for them, and then have it taken away straight away. Wonderful stuff. Danny Jord 2677 says, what I love about King is his ability to get me to visualise in detail everything that's going on. In It, for example, it sometimes seems that King spends too much time describing places and events that seem to have no relevance to the plot, but because he takes the time to explore Derry's backgrounds and its inhabitants, before you know it, you're completely immersed in that world. You feel like you too are in Derry, running around with the Losers Club. Everything and everyone feels real. Some would say that King is just wasting time with insignificant details, but I think he knows very well what he's doing. Of course he does. That's why we love him. So, Manuel Moke99, I think what I really love about Stephen King is that he is just a guy who fell in love with writing and storytelling. He followed his passion and it paid off. But he didn't write for fame or fortune, he writes because he loves writing. And also adds, everyone should check out On Writing by Stephen King, it's great. Yes, it is great. I've got 19 reasons for you to read it as well. So Fionn Kerwin says, in most of his books he talks to his readers more than just acknowledging them. Yes, he is very conscious of us as readers, and he wants to bring us in, sit us next to him by the fire, and have us listen and be fully engaged. Jeff Gacy 846 says, I love the quotes before and during the books, especially the song lyrics. Now every time I hear one of those songs I get reminded how great the books were. Wonderful. And yes, big fan of King's use of music. Bala Reader says, I love Stephen King's narration. He takes the reader into the story in staircases, one step at a time, taking some turns here and there that creates a curiosity to know what's waiting at the end. His way of justice to the characters, his detailed explanation about sufferings is really exceptional. I would like to read a thriller book about Stephen King's life with some fictional and mystery elements in it. Yeah, me too. That sounds great. Martin Pright says, the greatest thing I love about Stephen King is, well, I love everything about him. Everything. I think we're on the same page there, Martin. Quester91 says, I love the relationship between Sanders and Chef in Under the Dome. It's the ultimate bromance between two broken men with nothing to lose, and it ends with a glorious bang. Great. Now that is the kind of thing I wanted. Super specific stuff. I mean, I love all the other stuff as well. It's a great celebration. But like those little details there, and there's so many of his books to pick from. Yeah, bang on. Desmond Sanchez 6059 says, I love that he writes in a blue-collar way. It's very easy to understand and doesn't overcomplicate his writing. Yes, 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 yes. I love this too. It's just so accessible. The stories he crafts are so compelling and great, but he writes them in such a way that you're just hooked right away. Dead Alley 31. One of my favourite things about King is how he writes people. He puts regular people with real-world problems in these fantastical situations, and that is so interesting. For instance, the family in Pet Sematary or the family in The Shining. He takes a situation that could happen in real life, a family member passing away or being stuck with your family in an abandoned hotel, and asks, what if this happens? What would happen next? What if there is a place you can go to bring your loved one back to life? Or what if the hotel isn't abandoned? There is a lot of wacky and silly stuff in his writing, but to me he really nails down the humanity of his characters, and that's one of my favourite things about King. Also, as some people already said, King really comes across as a guy who is passionate about writing and creating stories and fantastical worlds. I love reading the little notes at the beginning or end of his books where he talks about the process of writing said book. It feels like you're enjoying reading it as much as he enjoyed writing it. Yep, great summary. The Idiot Savant of Horror says, I absolutely love that Stephen King could make me absolutely love a main character to the point I'm scared if they'll die, and he can make antagonists that I just absolutely hate. Examples, Dark Tower Misery and Doo McKee. Nice. Alistair Chong 4824 says, I love King's ability to reach through and connect with every generation of constant reader. That is a great point. Not many writers get to span a 50-year career and stay vital, do they? I started reading him in The Dark Tower when the new It movie came out and have been hooked ever since, and there's been thousands that became fans after the original miniseries. He's always been able to connect with the audience for almost 50 years and still makes you feel the grief and joy for the characters he creates. Shout out Eddie Dean. Nice. Nicely done. Dan Eeg 3372. I love the man's big old smile and even bigger heart. His ability to remain such a down-to-earth person after being named America's #1 boogeyman really sets a standard and makes him a role model everyone should look up to. You can honestly apply Stephen King's magic to more than just his writings. You can take away so many valuable life lessons from the guy himself. Yep, I couldn't agree more, and we've already sort of covered it. He's very humble, very down to earth. Jane Zanji says, I love the word cockadoodie from Misery for some reason. I even use it on specific occasions. I mean, yeah, why not? It's a great word. I should use cockadoodie more, probably instead of some of the swear words I use. Bodine57 says, I love the way he remembers what it was like being a kid and writing from that perspective. Yep, and regulars around here will know I recently did a special about his best kid characters. So Christian Kameti 4608 says, I love the foreshadowing last sentences in a lot of his chapters. They can really set your mood. And yeah, I do as well. I mean, it can be a bit of a cliche when people are describing Stephen King that it's like, and that was the last time they saw him alive. But when you're actually in the setting of the story, it works so brilliantly. My name is Jeff1248 says, I love how King wrote Paul Edgecombe and John Coffey in The Green Mile. I've never loved any character so much that I was crying at the end. Don't put me in the dark, boss. I don't like the dark. Yep. Adam Rasmussen 6976 says, I love how his books are connected in a multiverse. How about... Oh, then he's suggesting some videos for me. Wants me to do a video suggesting who had the strongest shine. That's a pretty cool special idea. Might have to do that sometime. Yoda Eats Porgs 7997 says, I love how he's able to make villains that you love to hate. What really comes to mind is Randall Flagg, Brady Hartsfield and Annie Wilkes, but there is a lot to love about his books. Yep, spot on. Horror King 36736 says, what I love about Stephen King is his masterful villains like Jack Torrance, Annie Wilkes, Brady Hartsfield, Randall Flagg, Big Jim, Pennywise, Gage Creed, Carrie White, Kurt Barlow, George Stark, Christine Cujo, Mrs. Carmody, Rose the Hat, Kurt Dusander, Andre Lenoge, Leyland Gaunt, Lee Harvey Oswald, technically, Frank Dodds, Greg Stilson, The Raggedy Man, Isaac Kroner, Percy Wetmore and Ellie Creed from the Pet Sematary 2019 movie. I mean, yeah, he does some good villains, doesn't he? So, Skunky2290 says, I absolutely love it when he writes from a dog's point of view. Most notably my all-time favourite book, Cujo. Yes, more writing from a dog's point of view, please. Chris Piero 1524 says, I love when King out of nowhere throws a sentence in the middle of the paragraph that you actually have to say, what? And read it 3 times again just to make sure. Example. In Dead Zone, after Johnny leaves Sarah's house after Carnival, and the next sentence simply says, that's the last time they talked for 4.5 years. It's that foreshadowing thing again, isn't it? King always throws those one-liners that change everything out of the blue. Also, he will write, this is the last time they live to see something, or something like that in the middle of the conversation. Yeah, all good stuff. Jason Hansen 8673 says, yes, love the connections, the crossovers, love King's strength for character, for relationship building, and my favourite King character is Mike Hanlon. His interlude chapters in It are great. Nice. Elias is the greatest says, I love his descriptions of locations. I feel like I've been to Maine because of the many books I've read. The settings are my favourite part of the book. The Stand is also a major part of why I love Salem's Lot. I'm with you there. I feel like I know Maine and I've never been anywhere near it. Dreadfully Shane 1697 says, this may have been said already, but the world of Midworld is underappreciated. As you travel with Roland and his quartet towards the tower, you really get to see the universe and the people and the culture around you. It's awesome. Also, the connection between other books, like finding a name or a place from another book you read, is like that of watching a Marvel movie and seeing a character you like show up unexpectedly. Those are moments that I love reading through King's works. Nice. Needful Strings LLC. Great name. I like the concept of shining. We'll shine on. Yeah, great. Bookable, slight spoiler alert, Billy's death in Billy Summers. I like the way he describes the fields around Billy and Alice. Yep, great. And last but not least, Queese, I think that's how you pronounce it, Queechy. I like the names of the books and characters. I especially like Christine and Duddits. There you go. A whole load of specific, big, small, in-between things that we constant readers love about you, Stephen King. And I know I said I wasn't going to throw in my own thing, but feeling inspired now. So to round off, I think my thing that I love, and obviously I love all of your books and your movies and everything, but the fact that me sharing my passion for your work has enabled me to build this really solid and fantastic community online of other constant readers who just want to share their own passions about it. and are willing to listen to me every week talk about my thoughts on the books, the movies and everything else connected with you, Stephen King. That makes me feel very grateful. I've made lots of friends through this community, and it's all down to your work. So thank you for being such an inspiration. Thank you for not dying 25 years ago. And here's to many, many more years still to come. And thank you to all of you guys for watching. And I will see you again very, very soon.